if you don't want to scale your business, you don't have to. But if you feel inside you that you want to do more, then you want to build more, then you get to.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Behind Their Success podcast. I'm Peyton Squires, the host, and today we have on Leila Lahbabi. Leila is a CEO coach, VC advisor, keynote speaker, and founder of Mind Impact. Leila is globally recognized for helping purpose-driven entrepreneurs unlock high-performing teams, scale their businesses profitably, and foster conscious, burnout-free leadership. After building a career as a strategy consultant to Fortune 100 companies and training hundreds of CEOs, she's dedicated to empowering leaders to achieve impact, fulfillment, and sustainable growth. That was a lot of words, Leila. Welcome on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, Baden. I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah, absolutely, Leila. So tell me more about you and kind of your story in general.
Sure. So I grew up in Morocco, and then I moved to Paris to study engineering. So I studied there engineering. I started my career after that in consulting. So I was at EY at the beginning, 4 years, more operational consulting, data science, more like a geek, mathematician, and so on. And then I moved to strategy consulting at Oliver Wyman. And then I discovered that actually, if you look at it from a strategy perspective, a lot of strategies don't get implemented. And I was very frustrated because we work so hard as strategy consultant to find, to study the market, to do the benchmark and so on. And then you have, the right strategy for the client and it's not getting implemented. It frustrated me a lot. So then when I started understanding the power of humans, right? And transformation starts with humans. And I was like, okay, I think I get it. But in order for me to really get it, I overworked, like high achiever, people pleaser, all those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I burned out at some points because of more. And I loved what I was doing. It's not about not loving my job or anything. I really loved what I was doing, but the way I was doing it was hustling. And I burned out, and then I discovered mindfulness. I just Googled how to reduce my stress. And I really was very conscious about not going into something which was woohoo, and it's like a lot of practice. No, I'm so afraid of that. And mindfulness, I was reassured because there were neuroscience studies that explains how the brain works. And since I was, a data scientist and worked with neural networks, I was like, oh my God, the brain of a human is so amazing, and we can train the brain and we can get better, and then we can get more focused and can get more presence. Oh my God, this is amazing. So I started practicing, and what I discovered was more than just reducing my stress, was more connecting to my emotions, to my body, to my sensations, to what I actually want, because I just followed the path that was a standard path, and so that I can please to people around me. And then I started shifting, and I came back to work after my burnout, and people start noticing changes and asking, what happened to you? Like, what did you do? Did you take something, or taking any medicine, or kind of... I was like, no, I bit into something. It's called mindfulness. Oh, no, I don't want to try that. And then, when people start experiencing same kind of burnout, I also saw that a lot of people were experiencing hustle and burnout without talking about it, because it's kind of weak. If you talk about it, it means you're weak. You're not capable to do this. And then I started having clients from, my surroundings, my friends, my family, my colleagues. And COVID hit at that moment. So a lot of people started coming to practice mindfulness.
They had a minute to think through their lives, didn't they?
Exactly. They are sitting with themselves, between four walls, and probably with a husband that they don't like, and probably and there are a lot of things.
A lot of reevaluating going on.
Exactly. A life they were running through, now they're considering it. So this is where I said, oh, this is probably could be a business, right? This could be a business. And this is what I started my first business that I called Mindful Academy. And I was just helping people go through stress, go through burnout, and evolve, not just reduce their stress or just calm down, but evolve and grow in order to be able to manage this and to listen to the emotion, whatever emotion it is, and then do something with that and change their lives. And then I was like, this is probably not enough, because a lot of people that came to me, the stress was coming from work and not from their personal lives. And then I was like, okay, so I did a lot of strategy. I'm great at strategy. I've learned mindfulness. Let's merge both. Because what I found out is like people that came to me at some point for strategy, actually the problem was a mindset problem.
Yeah. I see people that every day in my business.
Yeah. People that came for me to mindfulness, actually what they want is to change their lives. And changing their lives comes also by doing something that they love. So creating a business, it's led with, so they both go together. And this is where I created Mind Impact. And I wanted really to help people to not only create, but scale, because I worked with Fortune 100 companies that are really big. So what I master is how to scale, is how to surround yourself with the right talent, how to create the right processes, how to let people work. And you're not chief everything officer, but a chief executive officer. So this is something that I really wanted to help purpose-driven entrepreneurs do, because I think that, money in the hands of those people is good for the world. So more of that. And most of them are like, no, I don't want to sell more. I don't want to do more. And there's like, no, like money in your hand is good for the world. You're attracting the right talent. You're delivering value. So why not? So there was this mindset shift. The second one was more around, if you don't scale, you can burn out in your own business. And if you scale in a way that is more hustling, so what's the point? You create something from your soul, and then you're burning your soul for your business. So what's the point? So this was the second thing. And the third one is when I started having my business from Paris, I thought this is an international business. I can be anywhere. And then I was a mom of two little ones. So getting back to my country, Morocco, was very natural for me, and being around my family. And this I help people also with, to say you can start a business and grow a business from wherever place in the world. Let's stop thinking you need to be in US or you need to be in UK in order to start and scale a business. So those are the three things that I focus on right now.
That's an amazing story. I wanted to touch on a couple of things you were talking about there. You're talking about, people would come to you for strategy, right? But you can, and I see this in my world, I work in tax and money and stuff. People come to me with like money problems, but I'm like, yeah, that's really not an issue. Yes, we can make that better. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's really a you problem. We need to work on you, right? And making changes in your life, or even just trying to, hey, what are we even trying to accomplish here? Like, everybody comes to my office of like, hey, make me more money or save me money or whatever. But it's like, to what end? Like, what are we ultimately trying to do here? Because that is definitely going to inform which paths we can take, on in my world, specifically money. But it's not a lack of like information of people, it's not like people don't know what to do necessarily. It's trying to fix all the internal issues so they actually do what they say they want to do, right?
Absolutely. And I experienced it firsthand. Like, even I was teaching mindfulness, and the way I wanted to grow my own business, and this is funny, because like, okay, so how people do business, because I wasn't even imagining starting a business and growing a business, and like how people do business. And then when I started learning about how to do business, like, I don't want to do it this way. I don't want to outreach this way. I don't want to spend my time like trying to reach out to people. And then I had coaches who was like, do it anyway. It means like, actually, this is not the way I want to do it. And then it raises a lot of issue of like the fear of rejection, the fear of not being enough, the fear of, and I had to go through this myself. I'm still going through it sometimes, we're not perfect. I was like, oh my God. They're like, it's simple. I was like, okay, it's simple, but I just
it's
can't.
Simple, but not easy necessarily, right? Like the process can be very simple, but it's like the human emotions or whatever don't necessarily make it easy.
No.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about fear of rejection, people pleasing, like all that kind of stuff. I mean, Something I've struggled with deeply. And I've developed a lot of those areas. And I think that's a big thing with a lot of entrepreneurs, right? Because many entrepreneurs, flat out, many entrepreneurs have had traumatic things happen in their lives, right? And that is what has developed them into high achievers and almost like these anxious, accomplishing, high driving people, right? That doesn't come from nowhere, right? Like it's typically something, right? Something in their past where they're trying to prove themselves or prove their worth or whatever that is. And it's really sad when people run down that road so hard, so fast and realize like you were doing someone else's plan and not even your own. And that's super sad, especially if you run down that road for 20 years and pick up your head and realize, wow, I didn't want to do any of this.
Yeah, this is what happened to me, actually. It's like, so for what? Why am I spending so many hours on this benchmark? Like, I don't really care about this market. Especially at the moment when I really realized that is when I had my first child. And it was the first time for me that I came to the preschool with my little one. And then I spent many months with her. And then when I saw the door closing in front of me, I was like, what's more important that I have to do to not be with my kid?
Yeah.
Right? And that really hit me. It's like, okay, do I really want to spend all the time with my kid? Not really. But when I'm not with my kid, I want to be doing something that's meaningful. I want to be doing something that's serving a higher purpose. I don't want just to be working to work. And this is what was really changing my perspective on the way I saw work.
Yeah. And I think that's something my wife and I have done a lot of evaluating too, where it's just like, I don't know, the system or whatever you want to call it, but it's people get married, have their kids, the system's set up for us to just kind of ship our kids off to school or daycare or whatever all day long. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying necessarily anything wrong with that. But, if many people, especially in the United States, that both spouses have to work, and one of the spouses literally just working to pay the daycare bill so the kid can be on daycare all day long. And it's like, well, we're just working to have somebody else take care of our kids. So what are we necessarily even doing there?
Absolutely. And it's the case in many countries. Yeah.
I think for the listeners there, the most important thing is take away. It's just like, you need to take some time to evaluate those things and pause and contemplate of like, if you could just snap your fingers and design your life, your day was just like perfect. What does that look like? Right. And then try to do everything in your life to move as close as you can. It's going to take time, but like to move your life towards that direction. Right. Because, living to other people's expectations or doing things just because of external pressures, we're all going to die anyway. So why, you know what I mean? Like, why do you care what other people have to think? Right. It's like, you got one life and, giving that up to anybody else, I just don't understand.
Yeah, while you were speaking, you made me think of something, and an experience that I had, which is when you talked about like design the dream life.
Yeah.
I was, I've been through this, like designing my dream life and so on. But what happened to me when I did that is first I was afraid. Mm-hmm. If I don't want to design a dream that I'm not going to reach. Like, I don't want to be disappointed, So when I did that, one thing was like avoiding talking about it or avoiding saying how
that you actually want it.
Yeah, I do want it, but I didn't want to show my ambition because I was afraid that people would think that I don't have gratitude or because I want more. But those are two different things. You can have gratitude for what you have and also be willing to serve more, to have more, to live more. And to be more. And it took me time to get there. And also the second one was the judgment and the fear of not achieving it. And that's reminded me about not an experience, but a moment that I had. I went to the West Coast of the US and I went to the Zion Park. I love Zion Park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This park is amazing. Yep. And there was a mountain, which it was really, really big mountain. I'm not a hiker, but during this trip, I hiked every day. And there was a big mountain. And like, I looked at the top of the mountain. I was like, oh my God. And I haven't looked at the top of the mountain until I arrived. It was like 4 or 5 hours hiking. And I started walking, like just staying just in front of me and trying to enjoy the journey, just trying to enjoy the hike and drinking some water from time to time. And at some point, I had 2 people like just behind me and following me, but I didn't get it. It's like, why these people are like behind me? And I turned like, where are you following me or what? Like, what's the thing? And I was amazed by the answer. They said, your rhythm is so good, because we saw people trying to speed up. And then I was passing by those people who were speeding up, and then we suffocated. And I passed them by, and I was like, just going steady, going like step by step, step by step, step by step. And when I arrived in a way that I felt good about myself. I felt good about the ride. And then I made new friends, like the people who were just behind me. And this is why I'm talking about this. This is exactly the way I shifted in building and scaling my business. From like, I need to speed up, or I really need to get there, or oh my God, this is a really scary mountain. I have to do all this, into what is the next step? And what is the next step? And am I enjoying it? Celebrating the next step as well. I used to not celebrate it. Okay, I reached milestone. Okay, next.
Yep, you're describing me exactly, and probably most listeners on the show, right? And that's, that's the default of the high achiever, right? Like they have these anxious feelings all the time, where it's like, okay, we got to go. I mean, it's got to happen now, right?
Go, yeah.
And then, even as those high achievers have some level of success, they think they can't get rid of that, because that is like, well, that's what made me successful, right? Was like running really fast and doing all the things, and naturally the human mind's like, well, if I do this, well, and if I just do more of it, it'll be that much more better, right? Which obviously is not the case at all. But I wanted to go back and make a comment too, where you talked about like some of the big goals. You were afraid of like to share big goals, and I think everybody has that fear of like, I don't want to put that out there because I don't know if I'm actually going to do it or not. Recently, I'm reading a book called The Science of Scaling by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, which talks very much about setting what it calls impossible goals. And the reason you set impossible goals is because it forces you to get extremely focused, right? It forces you to cut all the distraction, to cut all the things that like don't align with going from, this where you're at now to just massive success, or, whatever that goal is. It forces you to reevaluate literally everything in your life. And to actually achieve those goals. And here's the amazing thing is like those impossible goals we put out there, they're really not impossible. They're actually extremely achievable. We just can't achieve it or see it from our current perspective, because we have all this junk in our life that doesn't align with that goal. And as soon as you start eliminating a lot of those things, those impossible goals you thought they were so impossible, they're not at all. If someone else has done it, you absolutely can too.
Yeah. And it's moving from belief to trust, right? What is trust is like not seeing it yet, because people think that they will move from believing it to getting it.
I wish it was.
It doesn't work this way. It's believing to trusting to like, I know because I know. There's no reason. I know because I know. And then it's happening like, what's happening? And it's really amazing that you talked about the book, because what I was just saying lately about not enjoying the little steps. I just finished writing the book that is called $1 Billion Purpose, and it was on May. And I was really happy because I got 2 forwards. I got one from Elisabeth Moreno, which is an ex-French minister and an impact investor, and one from Jerry Corona. And at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy. And I was like jumping all around my house.
Yeah, I did.
But then I was like, okay, it's still a pattern. It's still, okay. Yeah. Now what? Like, okay, next step.
Yeah, and I get it. I'm the same way. I mean, it's literally goals I've had, and it took me years and years to accomplish. And as soon as I get it, it's not like some magic moment or something where you're just like, oh my gosh, right? Like people always think it's like the moment I'm going to get something, I'm going to be happy, and that is such a lie. That's such a lie that you tell yourself, and we all do it. And here's the thing, to prove it, to prove it to the listeners, like how many goals have you already accomplished that you promised yourself you would be happy when you actually got it? I mean, that's everything in your past, right? So just by looking at it and understanding that, like, that external accomplishment, no matter how cool and how amazing, and yes, you should pursue it, that's delaying your happiness until is not the right way to go.
And you know what I enjoyed most for the book? It was writing it. It was when I was in a cafe and writing it and not knowing like how it's going to be, if it's going to be great or not, just the download and being in it and transmission and saying, okay, let me talk from my heart. Let me build this. This is what I remember most. Yeah. Not once it's done. And it's the journey. This is what I remember most. And like, oh my God, I was waiting so much for this lunch and for this forwards and for this accomplishment. And what I enjoyed most was writing it from my heart, from my soul. Can I do that for my business as well?
Yeah, right. It's like the day-to-day. The journey is it. Like that's the only thing there is. It's like the only thing we truly have is the moment you're in right now. You got your past, which is, science approved. We make all that up, or at least the vast majority of our history in our head is just totally made up, or it's not accurate, is what I would say, if to actually accurate. And in the future, it's just stuff we just make up to worry about as well. So the only thing that is truly real in our own hands is today, the present moment. And I know, it's really hard for high achievers and business owners, entrepreneurs. They listen to that kind of stuff that sounds this woo-woo, oh, you need to be present and that kind of thing. But it's true. That's what humans are. That's, the best way to get the most out of life, satisfaction in my experience.
Yeah, it is true. And it has been validated by science, right? It's not something that you're inventing. The stress reduction, the focus, the ability to achieve without burnout, the ability to tap into our own creativity. And today, the competitive advantage is who we are, our creativity, our humanity. Yeah. It's not doing more. It's like AI is doing that. It's ability to really trust what we're doing, to work on our fears and to get there. Because the speed is the speed of implementation, not the speed of actions after action. Implementation. What is implementation? Is taking what you think is great and doing it and going through the shame, going through the false beliefs. So this is the implementation, right? And then you have so many tools that can help you out. We don't have any excuse right now to say, oh, I don't know the skills, or I cannot code, or I cannot do this. We just have our minds that are missing us.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we all have those stories, and imposter syndrome, and like, why me or whatever. But yeah, you're right. Like it's never been easier to, and in my opinion, like way stand out amongst the crowd. Just because one, I mean, the amazing amount of resources just free to no cost on the internet, right? Or with AI tools and everything on YouTube, like you can learn almost anything you want to learn for free on the internet. And two, like people are so distracted in today's world, like to be able to sit down and write a book, 99.9% of the world can't do that. Not that they can't do that, but they can't sit still for more than 10 seconds without, well, let's pick up my phone and start mindlessly. Like it's a superpower to be able to sit down and focus on something for like an hour straight, because no one can do that. And especially, and I don't want to sound like the old man that's going after the younger generations, but the younger generations have grown up with that even more, where it's like, it's even harder for them to just like, okay, keep your head still and focus on one thing. It's amazing how much time we run around and waste and doing all these little tasks or distractions or whatever, and never focus on what we need to be doing, and then say we don't have time for it. The next time someone says they don't have time for something, I'm going to say, give me your phone and let me look at your screen time. And then tell me that again with a straight face.
Yeah. This is the instant gratification, right? It's the easier path. And this is an emotional thing. It's
dopamine.
Easier. It's dopamine. Yeah, it's dopamine. And it's sad that today, there's an experiment, psychological experiment that I studied because I went back to school to study psychology in parallel of being strategy consultant. And I love this experiment. They show to children candies, and they put candies in front of them. It was marshmallow, whatever.
Marshmallow
is for time. Marshmallows. And they put the marshmallow and they say, okay, so if you eat this marshmallow, it's okay. If I come back and you haven't eaten this marshmallow, then I can give you a second one, then you will have 2 marshmallows. And this is a delayed gratification. And the study that they did was to evaluate the success of those kids in the future, right? So the one who accept the delayed gratification are the one who really succeeded in their journey, in their life, in their business, in whatever. And that applies also to business, because today we say, okay, so everything's supposed to be easy. Actually, it's harder because everyone has access to it, right? Mm-hmm. So immediate gratification, say, if I have all the tools that it needs to work right now. And we see people talking only about their achievement, their success, and starting to speak up only when they succeed. And we forget that 99% of companies never scale, 99%. So only 1% of companies do scale. And we hear about this 1% and say, is there something wrong with me? No, it's 1%. And this is something wrong with me? Am I doing something wrong? Am I being I don't deserve it. I cannot do it. We start messing up with our own success and auto-sabotage. Do we say it?
Yeah.
Auto-sabotaging ourselves.
Sabotage. Yeah, absolutely.
Because we have so many stories about success, but we forget that those represent only 1%. Of people who try.
1% of the people try, and you don't have the whole story either, right? Like you're seeing the end of the race, right? Like you didn't see the 15 years. It's funny to say it takes people 15 years to be an overnight success, and that's all you see is like the win, right? Or the person crossing the finish line. You're like, wow. And it's like, well, no, that guy. The last 20 years of his life led to that moment. So it wasn't this one thing.
Are you looking for a new tax experience? Looking for an advisor that actually brings you high-level ideas and proactively plans so you aren't overpaying your taxes? Or how about one that even just responds and communicates in a timely fashion? If any of that resonates with you, you probably just have a tax preparer and not a tax planner. And it is through the tax planning process where all the value is found. And when tax planning is done right, it has a positive return on investment. I'm Peyton Squires. I'm a CPA and owner of Squires Tax Planning. We work alongside entrepreneurs and high-income earners, helping them pay the least amount of income taxes, both legally and ethically. We have saved our clients hundreds of thousands of dollars through specific strategies, and we guarantee we can find multiple tax strategies that your current tax preparer hasn't told you about. If that interests you, head over to squirestaxplanning.com. There you can take our free assessment to see how likely it is that you are overpaying on your income taxes. From there, you can also book a free tax discovery call with our team to see what it would look like to have us working for you.
So, Leila, talk about scaling from the inside out. Can you tell the listeners what that means?
It means everything we've been talking about until now, which is scale yourself to scale your business. If your business can only grow as you grow, and it cannot outgrow you. I will explain why it cannot outgrow. Because first, what you believe is possible for you. Okay? So if you don't believe it's possible for you, you would not even try to do it. It's not just something you would not even try to do it. Okay? Yes. Then, do you believe that you bring value? If you don't believe you bring value, then you will not be able to sell it. because what is sales? It just
transferring confidence.
Exactly, transferring confidence. So in order to transfer confidence, you need the confidence.
Yep.
And then once you get there, so you start building, you start selling, then if you want to scale, it's surrounding yourself with A players. So in this stage, if you fear that they're better than you, if you fear that they will take your place, if you fear that, they're going not to be trustworthy, if you fear that it's your baby and you don't want to give your baby, you will not bring investors. You will not bring A players that are better than you. You will not bring big clients because you think that the client can take all of your business and you have small business. So you want to dream big. And this is the auto-sabotage. So if you scale yourself, it becomes easier to scale around you because you have the confidence, you have the trust. You talk about your mission with confidence. You attract people that are aligned with this mission, right? And that will help you scale it. And it moves from being something that is just yours to something that is of service to the world. So the bigger umbrella, a bigger cake. And bigger cake, you can have many people building it with you. And it doesn't rely only on you. So if you get sick, if you just want to take a break, if you want to tap into your creativity, because at the beginning, you have time, but you don't have a lot of money. Okay, so you have time to get creative, to build stuff and so on. And at some point, you start having money, you start having clients, but not time. So you move from being the creative to being operator. But the entrepreneurs are rarely good operators. Usually they get someone who helps them on the operations.
Generally not great, yeah.
No. So in order to have, so either they build on this process base and they say, okay, I've processed everything. And so the creativity decreases. It's still the same products for years and years and years. And then they go into operations. So they're killing their business. Or they stay only on the creativity and then they don't scale the processes, they don't scale the team, they don't scale their ability to interact more. And then their ability also to have, investments and do more things and have a bigger umbrella, a bigger mission. So they stop themselves from scaling. And this is why I scale yourself to scale your business. So everything that's as you scale your mission, you attract the right people, you scale yourself, and then you train the people that you have with your team, and then you learn from those people because they had to bring other expertise, they have marketing expertise, they get technical expertise, and you can learn from them. And then collectively you adapt. Yeah. So this is the methodology, more or less. And I call it the clap methodology. And clap, it's coming from my culture. We have something that we say, one hand doesn't clap. So try clapping with a hand, you will not. You need at least two. And we love clapping. So the clap is C is for collective intelligence. L is for the leadership. A is for autonomous team. You need your team to be autonomous, to be able to build things without you being. If you equip people to tell them what to do, then you will all have people knocking at your door to ask what to do, right? Yeah. And P is for people, because people are the ones who are going to buy. You will sell to people anyway. AI will not buy from you yet. But you sell to people. Your providers are people. Your investors are people. Your talent that you bring on are people. And society that are going to cheer up for your brand or to say that your brand is not good are people. So an important component is caring about people, the value that you bring in order to attract value. And this is where conscious leadership and conscious capitalism can come from.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with everything you said there, where it's business. The leader, the founder of the business is always the bottleneck of the business, meaning like you need to raise yourself, your standards to be able to attract talent, because like super talented people, you got to be an attractive person for them to want to come follow your vision. And if you don't have a big enough vision, you yourself are not attractive enough in your vision and your business and everything you're doing. Well, why would they come? Why would they come work with you? And some of that is like, right. I love you talked about the journey there. It's like, okay, in the beginning, you got all kinds of time, but no money. And then you start to have a little bit of success and you don't build the right operations and whatever, and everything still goes through you. And then you're like, okay, I make a little bit of money, but I have zero time, right? And it's that I got stuck at that level for a long time, where I was stuck there doing literally everything. Everybody's coming through me. I have all the answers. And you want to talk about burnout? I went down that path. I did it for years. It wasn't until I guess I got around enough people that convinced me to change my ways, to where it's like, okay, I want to build something bigger. And part of why I was stuck at that level too was just lack of confidence and lack of, some insecurities about can I even build something big, right? But it's all about developing yourself and pushing yourself as far as possible to be able then to attract the right people, to attract the right customers. As I have more success, customers look at me and be like, I want to work with that guy because he knows what he's doing, right? He knows how to scale a business. He knows how to do this and that. Working on yourself to me is like I tell people all the time when I go to the gym, even, just go to the gym to work out, like I'm making money. That is all part of who I am, and it helps me do, it's all connected. There's not one part of my life that has nothing to do with the other part of my life, right?
Yeah. And as you were speaking, I remember when I started going on the self-development road, people came to me like, do I really need to do this? Like, there are a lot of people who succeed without the self-development. I don't like those kind of things. And I also had a founder who I worked with who wanted to scale. And he said, do I really need to do this? Do I really need to go through my self-confidence? And this one, I was like, no.
Well,
you don't need to do anything.
Yeah, you don't need to do anything.
You get to.
The results all come from, did you do the actions or not, right? Like you can do, yes, you can do all kinds of self-development, whatever, but like, did you do the actions that are required to get to whatever goal you are? Like that, ultimately, that's the only thing that matters for results. How you feel about it or how you feel through the process really doesn't matter. I mean, I don't think that's a great way to live or whatnot, but like, you know what I mean? It just comes down to, did you do the thing or not?
Yeah, and it's just not about, success or not succeeding, if you do or do not the self-development. The difference for me is the fulfillment that goes with it. If you do something, and especially if you don't want to do it, I was like, if you don't want to scale your business, you don't have to, right? No, but you get to. If you want to, I can help you, like build those skills. Those are learnable skills. I learned them myself. I'm still learning them myself. You can learn them. And this is something, when I talk to people, it's like, if you feel inside you that you want to do more, then you want to build more, then you get to. You don't have to, but you get to, because now we know how to train our minds. We know how to change our behaviors, to change our beliefs, to change. We can. So this is not a judgment on places like, oh, if you don't grow. No, this is more, there is a way. If you want to, then you get to learn how to do it. That's it.
Yeah, that's part of an issue, I'd say, in the self-development world, especially in the Western culture of hustle and grind and whatever. It's like, bigger is better and whatever. And it's like, no, I mean, if you're happy every day with what you're doing, you've won. You're beating everybody else, I promise you. Because, the money in the business and whatever, that it really doesn't, I won't say it doesn't mean a lot, but it's not going to mean a lot for your fulfillment necessarily. The fulfillment's going to come from the value you're creating, for the other opportunities you're creating for people other than you. Actually, if you want to be fulfilled, you got to have a purpose that isn't revolved around you. Now you get to be the main character of that and be a big part of that. But if it's just about you, eventually you're like, this isn't worth it because I'm not worth it. And you will stop eventually. So Leila, in your experience, which habits do you think have been the most important for founders to actually, not just have high performance, but as you described, sustain high performance, right? And not necessarily experience that burnout that so many of us do.
There is a beautiful habit, which is not waking up at 5 a.m., which is not journaling all the time, which is not going to gym, is acting fast, then reflecting on your actions. Not saying what if. So okay. when I talk about, when I work with founders, I have a lot of thinkers and a lot of doers. Mm-hmm. I will explain the two models. So the thinkers are like, what if we do that? 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 And then it's like, okay, what do you want to start with? That's, and before the coaching, they when they talk about their business, you're like, oh my God, this business is huge and so on. But when you look at the numbers, it's not that big. We think there are CEOs of multi-billion-dollar company. Actually, their businesses are really small because they talk a lot. Well, don't do as much. Okay, so they raise a lot of money, but then they build pitches to raise even more money, but not a lot of income. So this is one type. The second type are the doers. The doers, they just do and do. And the doers, what can happen is doing the same thing all the time and repeating the same mistake all the time.
Same cycles, yeah.
Exactly. So what I advise as a routine is to do, then reflect on your doing. Do, reflect on your doing. Do, reflect on your doing. Do, reflect on your doing. So having a routine that says once a month, once each 2 months, whatever. You can start once a month at the beginning. And then when your business is getting, scaling fast, you can do it each 2 weeks or each week. It's do. Don't think, just go do. And then sit down with yourself once a month and say, okay, what was it? What the right action? What did I learn from those actions? What did it bring? What should I cut? What should I keep? Because today you have instant data if it's working or it's not working. You don't need to wait 1 year, 2 years. You put that on the market, you put that on the internet, you call your customers, you call your prospects, and then if your offer is working, if your speech is working, and then you reflect. And once you reflect, each time you change one thing.
Yeah. If you change too many variables, you don't know what worked, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So reflect. So action, reflect, change one thing. Action, reflect, change one thing. If you keep this routine, I'm sure they go faster and leaner than anyone else.
The way you described that hit a little different in my head. I've never really, heard it explained that way, which was great. But then I kind of made the connection when I was thinking about it, and you were talking about the doing and reflecting and changing one thing. I'm like, well, that's a scientific method. That's what that is, right?
Absolutely.
You're testing, you're doing a bunch of stuff. You're testing, right? Okay, we're going to take all this data and reflect upon it. Okay, let's tweak one thing, test, reflect, change one thing. And really what you're doing is zeroing in on the truth or what goal you're going after, right? And you do see a lot. I do love the way you describe that is there, a lot of people do get stuck in one or the other, right? You got entrepreneurs that maybe just do, and they run into cliffs or run off cliffs and into mountainsides of mountains and whatnot because they never pick their head up to actually look at the bigger picture. And then you got people that sit over here and just contemplate and think and can never decide or take action on anything. And they'll just never go anywhere. And so it's easy to get stuck in both of those worlds or either or of those worlds. That's great advice of cycling through those things and testing. Test your hypothesis, change something, right? Scientific method described perfectly there.
I never seen it this way. Now you explain this way, I'm like, oh my God, this is so beautifully explained. I will take that and use it next time.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, this has been an amazing conversation. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Listeners are interested to learn more about you, connect with you. What's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Sure. I have my profile on LinkedIn, which is Leila Lahbabi. So with my name, my surname. I have an Instagram account, which is Leila LHB. If there are podcasters, they can listen to my $1 billion podcast that goes with the book. And what else? I just started a new YouTube channel, so they can check it out.
Very cool. Well, anything you want to leave for the listeners? Any parting words of advice?
Yeah, have fun. Have fun.
That's great advice.
Have some fun. Yeah.
That's good advice for me today. I just got back from long travel and showing back up after being gone a week, and my calendar's packed and so many responsibilities, and good advice for me. I'm going to go have some fun.
Enjoy it. Happy for you. And tell me about it afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, listeners. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you found it valuable, please rate, review, and share it. That is the best way to help us build this and reach more people, as we're trying to accomplish our goal of help creating more healthy, wealthy, and wise entrepreneurs. You can follow us on social media by searching for me, Peyton Squires, or going to PeytonSquires.com. On the website and social media, we're always sharing tips of personal growth, and there we can actually interact. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.